Because we're better than you.
And you know it.
And welcome back to the Mod Squad. Layeth the squad down. How's everybody doing today? Oh,
I mean, I could do it the whole time. I thought you were going to be like, I'm Kevin and this is Steve, because that's usually my cue. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Layeth the Squad
I, I,
Down.
just, I decided to switch it up a little bit, man.
And
I am your host,
I would have
Kevin.
stayed frozen the whole time.
Yeah. I am your host, Kevin. Joining me as always is Steve.
What's up,
we're gonna
everybody?
We had a really, really good week of wrestling this week. Let's start off with Raw for the recaps. We start out with Seth Rollins going down to the ring. And he's giving a promo about how he beat up the kid, everything last week. And then he didn't take long for Bobby Lashley to interrupt him, followed by Ali interrupting Bobby Lashley twice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We get Mustafa Ali taking on Bobby Lashley in a match, right?
Yep. It ends up being a Bobby Lashley Ali match with Bobby Lashley winning. This was actually fairly decent, a fairly decent match. I'll give it. It was a good match. Next, we have Tamina versus Mia Yim. Mia Yim's first wrestling match on Raw in a very, very long time, but it was sloppy. It was kind of sloppy. I think most of it was Tamina though, because I don't think Tamina's very good, to tell you the truth. But Mia Yim wins.
Yeah. Mia Yim is a very talented wrestler. Tamina, she is very sloppy. She primarily, it's a nepotism type situation. The main reason she has a job is her last name is Snuka.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that can be said for a lot of people. There are a lot of wrestlers in the ring that are second or third generation wrestlers that are absolutely talented and absolutely deserve to be in there. And then there are people like Tamina who have the chance to truly be improving and trying to better themselves at the performance center and everything like that. And they just continue to give the mediocre matches they give.
Yep. Her biggest move is a freaking super kick. That's really all she does, in my opinion. And she don't sell. I don't think she sells very well. That's my personal opinion on Tamina. Sorry if it disagrees with anyone else. Next, we have Chad Gable versus Matt Riddle. Chad Gable gets the win.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. I don't remember seeing this one. So I think this might have been one of the matches that was edited off of the Hulu stream for me. Very weird hearing Chad Gable getting a win over Matt Riddle. I feel Riddle should be getting a slightly bigger push. I think they're waiting for Randy to come back, but who knows where Randy Orton is or what he's doing.
Yeah, it was a little bit of shenanigans to get Gable to win, but
I'm sure Otis was involved.
Yeah. It was a distraction finish. Distraction finish. It was actually a really good match. Both of these guys can go. It was a really good match. So then we have Shelton Benjamin versus Dominic Mysterio.
We're gonna gloss right over that Johnny Gargano miss segment.
Oh, Jesus Christ! Do we really gotta go over the Johnny?
There's a quick segment that is inevitably setting up for a match between Miz and Gargano, which may be happening this upcoming weekend at Survivor Series. I'm not sure, but yes, then we do get Dominic Mysterio versus Shelton Benjamin, a match that was untelevised on Hulu, so you can go over a brief segment on that one.
It was, a normal Dominic Mysterio match. So if that gives you any clue,
he has room for improvement.
Yes, very much. So basically, the judgment came down, and of course, Rhea and stuff, and it was a shenanigans finish. Dominic Mysterio match. That's really all I'm got to say about it.
You get you get Io Sky going up against Dana Brooke. Dana Brooke cutting this big promo. Oh, the time and the legacy that I put in the 24/7 championship. I never saw that championship defended once by her on major television, except for when she lost it to Nikki Cross.
I will say it was a very good promo for her. She had a lot of heart in that promo. She's
I'm
not
not
a
a
good actor,
I'm not a good I'm not a big Dana Brooke fan.
and she's not.
I haven't been a fan of Dana Brooke since she came in with her one-handed flip and her I've just never been a fan of Dana Brooke.
No, no, no.
I'm a fan of female wrestling. I love Damage Control. I
Mhm.
love everything they bring to the table. I think they did the right thing getting rid of the 24/7 championship the way they did.
I agree too. I, I
But yeah,
I do like how they followed it up with Dana Brooke against Io Sky, but it was Dana Brooke. She's not good in the ring. She's very stiff, and when I say stiff, I don't mean she lays stuff in stiff. I mean she's very.
she
She
doesn't
don't.
flow.
Yeah, it's very. It looks very orchestrated with her in the ring. So I mean,
No,
it's
I'm
a
right
thing.
there with you. I'm right
Yeah,
there with you.
yeah.
We get man. I was excited for this next match. You have I think it was Austin Theory being interviewed in the back, and Dolph Ziggler
Hmm.
kind of interferes, which leads to Dolph Ziggler against Austin Theory in such a great match. I'm such a fan of
Oh.
DZ with everything that he brings to the table and the time that he's been there.
Hmm. Yes, in Austin Theory, I like this change in Austin Theory. Going away from the selfie guy to the more serious, the more,
I'm not
oh,
a kid.
yeah, he's not a kid. He's got that aggression in his eyes. Telling you, he's the new John Cena, man. He's the new John Cena. The guy is freaking
Ruthless aggression.
aggression, and it was straight up that. I mean, Austin Theory gets the win. There was some really good wrestling on this show. Some really good wrestling on this show. This next
And then
one is not so much. It's Baron Corbin versus uh, Akira
Akira
Tozawa.
Tozawa.
This was set
And
up between
here's the thing. Here's the thing. I'm sorry. I'm just going to interrupt you.
mhm.
Akira Tozawa. I'm not going to go long on it, but Akira Tozawa, legitimately a good wrestler.
Yes,
I
yes.
refereed for him when he was working on the Indies before he signed for the E years ago. When he came over from the States, he was actually a little bit thicker in the frame, and he had bleach blonde hair.
Okay, but
But
no, this
Akira Tozawa was great in the ring. Please continue. I'm not a fan of Baron Corbin.
I get it. I get it. Actually, my wife hates Baron Corbin, so he's doing his job. Anyway, this match was set up by, you had JBL and Corbin playing cards in the back against some nobody guy and wipes him out. The next guy who sits at the table is Akira Tozawa, who ends up clearing them out and sets up a match between Corbin and Tozawa, with Corbin winning.
Of
It
course.
was it was an match. Then you get the Seth Rollins versus Finn Balor match.
You get our main event. It's our main event of Raw.
The main event. Uh, Seth Rollins wins.
I think it's a great a great finish.
Hmm.
It's a great match for me. I'm calling for me Raw match of the night. Seth frickin' Rollins versus Finn Balor. With the ending of Theory coming on out
And
laying him down.
just beating his ass is basically what he did. I think my match of the night is probably DZ Theory.
Okay.
I'm gonna go DZ Theory. I enjoyed that one a lot. So that is your quick Raw recap. Next we have SmackDown, because I'm gonna do SmackDown as well. You had your opening promo with the Brawling Brutes and Drew McIntyre coming down to the ring. They get interrupted by Sami Zayn, and they're like, "Dude, They were just about to announce the fifth guy for the War Games, and Sami Zayn interrupted. To me, that told me who it was going to be coming in. So it was a really good promo and talk.
Really good setup.
Yeah. Then we have Ricochet versus Mustafa Ali. Mustafa Ali still with the wrapped up ribs from the beatdown.
Wow, they're just going cross-platform now on shows. We don't have brand singularity. Got Mustafa Ali on Monday Night Raw and Friday Night SmackDown. My goodness.
But Ricochet gets the win.
Of course.
And really good match. Awesome match because these guys can actually wrestle.
Ricochet's I saw Ricochet versus Matt Cross, M-Dog 20, or Son of Havoc from Lucha Underground, at King of Indies back when WrestleMania was in San Jose.
All right.
It was a really good match.
Then we get a little backstage segment with Madcap Moss talking about how Karrion Kross put him in the cross face and damaged himself, and Emma kind of almost offering herself up to Madcap Moss. And then we come out and have a Madcap Moss Karrion Kross match.
Karrion Kross wins. Karrion Kross has to win.
Oh, Karrion Kross wins.
Yeah, of course he does.
Karrion Kross wins.
Talk.
Tick.
Talk. That's right. It's what he just told me on my rise on WWE 2K22, where I'm the North American champion, and he tweeted at me, Everett Scott, TikTok. He wants my North American championship. He's not going to win it. Sorry, keep going.
Then we have Bray Wyatt making his way down to the ring to apologize to LA Knight. LA Knight comes out.
LA Knight.
Let me talk to you. The guy comes down to the ring. Wyatt says he understands him. He apologizes and wants to shake his hand. So LA Knight comes in down, slaps Bray Wyatt, and says, "Now we're even." Bray's like, "All right." You can see the anger in Bray's eyes. He's like, all right, we're even. Now shake my hand. And LA Knight does something stupid.
Slaps him again.
Slaps him again. Yeah, I can see this being the first appearance probably of Uncle Howdy.
Uncle Howdy.
Yeah,
I love it.
And we have Shotzi. Go ahead.
I'm excited to see Barry Windham. I'm excited to see if they actually bring Barry Windham back in the ring.
I am too. I mean, I'm an old school wrestling fan. I used to love Barry Windham back in the day. Let's see. Next, we have Shotzi versus Shayna Baszler with Ronda Rousey.
Oh, we already know who wins.
Shotzi, because she's going to get Shotzi wins.
They're all just setting up for Shotzi versus Ronda, in which Ronda is going to demolish Shotzi.
I wish to God they wouldn't have even had this match. They could have had a backstage promo or something. I don't think Shayna Baszler needs to lose.
It makes Shayna look weak. Shayna Baszler should never lose.
I agree.
You put the option of having to run into Shayna Baszler in a dark alley in the middle of the night, or Shotzi Blackheart, and I have to fight one of them. I'll choose Shotzi. I'll choose Shotzi because I think I actually stand a chance against Shotzi.
I agree.
Shayna would fucking wreck me in a second.
I'd ask for it. Those two
in a second.
You put those two side by side, and Shayna Baszler looks more intimidating. If you're going by looks alone, which WWE kind of does a lot.
Even with all the tattoos, don't get me wrong, all the tattoos are very great on Shotzi and all that, but Shayna's a horse of a different color.
Yeah, Shayna should be the Queen of Spades, never lose. That's
really what they should do is they should do a full build up with Ronda, and then they should have Shayna turn on Ronda.
I was just about to say that. I would love for them to keep the storyline going, and then Shayna just turn on Ronda and just totally demolish her.
Yep.
Next, we have Braun Strowman and the New Day versus Imperium, because we had a backstage segment with the New Day there, and the Imperium coming saying that the New Day was made a mockery of wrestling and they're there to pick up the pieces. So let's have a 3-way or 6-man tag. We'll find a partner. They end up getting Braun.
Bum 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 bum. I love Imperium. I love Walter. I love Zelling General.
I do too, because at the end of that promo, the New Day did all their funny little things, and then Walter's like, or Walter, uh, what's
Gunther.
his what's his
Gunther.
name? Gunther.
Gunther.
Now it's Gunther. Now Gunther's
Gunther.
yeah, Gunther's like, thank you for proving our point. We'll see you out there in the ring. I mean, it was a great line, freaking great line. I loved it.
They are a big joke. Don't get me wrong, and that's the thing. That's what bums me about. I mean, I'm all for the entertainment aspect. I'm all for the having fun. But Xavier Woods is an underutilized talent, and Kofi Kingston is extremely talented. And they're
this
teaming them. They're teaming them with a clown like Braun Strowman.
this is the thing that gets me with the New Day is I honestly think Kofi is over the whole gimmick. Like, you can almost see it in his face now, and you see Xavier is still all in with it. So it's almost like a dynamic there that I'm seeing. It's
Xavier is just continuously on a high of life, man. He's
yeah.
got his thing going here. He's got up, down, down on YouTube. He's got his own TV show on G4 about video games. Like, that dude is living his best life, and
He
I'm
really
all
is.
for it.
He
And I'm
really
all
is.
for it. I really do think Kofi wants out, but damn, they've been doing this New Day gimmick for what, the better part of a decade now.
Yeah, 8 years, I believe it is. Anyway, Strowman and New Day defeat Imperium. It looks like
Boo.
they're setting up a Strowman versus Gunther match
Gunther.
for the title. I like Strowman. I know you're not a Strowman fan. I do like
No,
Strowman, but I
no,
do
no,
like Gunther
no,
too.
no reason to bring him back. No reason to bring Strowman. You could have brought back 2 or 3 solid wrestlers in place of Strowman, and they would have been better in the ring.
I got you. But next we have the SmackDown World Cup semifinal: Butch versus Sami Zayn. This is the ending match of the night. This is Butch pins Zayn.
Butch pins
Butch
in, so Butch advances.
Butch advances. Then everybody comes down to the ring for a beatdown. Then all of a sudden, Roman Reigns shows up and he starts laying everybody out. And then whose music should hit?
Ba-na-na-na, na-na-na-na. Ba-na-na-na, na-na-na-na. Ba-na-na-na, na-na-na-na. Yeah, man.
Kevin Owens shows up and just goes off. He ends up taking everyone out. He ends up giving Roman the stunner. Love it.
Stun Owens, stun.
Stun Owens, stun. That is your SmackDown report.
Oof.
How about some AEW, Steve? Why don't you tell
Oh
us a little
man,
bit
well,
about AEW Dynamite?
we got Dynamite, we got Rampage, and then last night was Full Gear. Dynamite and Rampage all led up to everything that we had at Full Gear. I'm just gonna give you the quick rundown, not even really on the segments. I'll mention them. But Dynamite opened up with Claudio Castagnoli and Bryan Danielson going up against Sammy Guevara and ROH champion Chris Jericho, in which we get Claudio submitting Jericho in the middle of the ring, getting the win for Claudio and Danielson. I've always been of the thought leading up to pay-per-views, and this has just been a forestanding thought with me. If you have a face and a heel going up against each other, a show before the pay-per-view, and the face goes over the heel on the show, the heel is probably going to go over the face on the pay-per-view.
Yes.
Or vice versa. If the heel goes over on the face at the pay-per-view, the face will probably go over on the heel. Just keep that in mind, a little foreshadowing for things that we have. So Claudio submitted Jericho in the ring for the opening of Dynamite. We get our new acclaimed music video. I believe it's called Hand for a Hand.
I like the song, hated the video.
In which we get them in the ring cutting a promo. Sneaky Swerve comes on out, which leads to a match of Swerve versus Anthony Bowens. Swerve actually ends up getting the win on this one. Yeah.
Scissor me, Steve Daddy.
We get Joe coming out to cut a promo explaining why he did what he did with Wardlow, in which we get Hobbs coming on out, Wardlow coming on out, and we get an official challenge of the TNT Championship in a three-man way, in a three-way. Joe versus Wardlow versus Hobbs at Full Gear. So that's a match that we get to look forward to. That was last night.
That's a lot of meat in that ring, man.
Lot of meat in that ring. We get a championship match of Death Triangle going up against the Martin brothers, Darius and I forget the other brother's name. Martin.
Good to see him back though. Yeah.
And AR Fox. AR Fox recently signed to All Elite Wrestling. I think AR Fox is a very talented gentleman from the independent scene. That his talents are finally being seen and properly used. We do have Death Triangle going over, in which we get the official announcement that at Full Gear for the three-man tag, it's going to be Death Triangle versus the returning Elite. Matt Nix Jackson and Kenny Omega coming back for those championships that they had to give up. You had the semifinals for the Eliminator match of Ethan Page versus Bandito. All Ego and Ethan Page goes over in that one.
I like Bandito, man. I really like Bandito.
And he recently got signed to AEW as well. He's a gentleman that's very, very good in the ring, and his talents are being utilized properly.
This was actually my first time seeing Bandito, and he impressed me. Very impressive.
You should go back and check out Bandito versus Chris Jericho for the ROH Championship a couple weeks back on, I believe it was Dynamite. Excellent match. In our main event for Dynamite, you get Toni Storm taking on Anna Jay of the Jericho Appreciation Society. The Jericho Appreciation Society. The epitome of sports
entertainers. I hate the way he says that. I hate the way.
In which I love is sports entertainers. He looks like a steroid Zac Efron that is continuously on cocaine
with his beady ass eyes, dude. He has beady ass eyes.
He's just always chewing.
Yeah.
Toni Storm goes over. We get a promo between Jon Moxley and MJF to close out Dynamite, which leads us up to Friday Night Rampage. Friday Night Rampage starts off with Ricky Starks going up against the Murder Hawk. Luke Harper?
No, the Murder Hawk?
The Murder Hawk. I forget his name.
Yeah.
I don't Murder Hawk.
No,
it's Luke something. God.
Yeah, I can't remember. Sorry.
It's okay. Ricky Starks goes over. You have the FTW Championship of Hook going up against Lee Moriarty of the firm.
Isn't it Lance Archer?
It is Lance Archer. There you go.
The Murder Hawk confused me with the Luke.
I was thinking of Luke Hawx. I'm not gonna lie. I was thinking of Luke Hawx, who plays Stone Cold Steve Austin on The Young Rock. Lee Moriarty versus Hook for the FTW Championship. Hook goes over, of course. You get Athena versus Madison Rayne, with Athena going over slowly on this very slow heel turn burn, which I'm not caring for at all. I wasn't a fan of Ember Moon. I'm not a fan of Athena.
I was a fan of Ember Moon. I am a fan of Athena. I've always liked her. I met her once at a con in Florida. I was actually in line to get a comic book signed, and I look back, and she's just walking around. So I'm like, very cool. I'm going to go get my picture with her. So I got a picture of me and Ember Moon. So
that's awesome. We get a House of Black promo with the House of Black possibly returning. There were talks that Malachi Black was asking for his release with all of these new promos. It looks like Malachi Black has decided to stay with the company, continuing with the House of Black. And in our main event for Rampage, we get Akiyama and Takeshita versus Eddie Kingston or Eddie Edwards. Not Kingston. No, it is Kingston. Why did I write Edwards? It wasn't Eddie Edwards. It's Eddie Kingston and Ortiz.
Okay.
Akiyama and Takeshita get the win in the main event,
wow.
which actually sets up for the pre-show on Full Gear. On Full Gear, we had, I missed the match, but it was QT Marshall in the Factory against Best Friends with Rocky Romero and Danhausen. I can only assume that Best Friends, Rocky Romero, and Danhausen went over. I did catch Brian Cage of the Embassy against Ricky Starks. Ricky Starks picked up the win. We got a singles match of Akiyama versus Eddie Kingston, which is set up from the night before on Rampage with Kingston going over. See, I wrote Edwards there, but I wrote Kingston here. That's funny.
Right.
We get the actual pay-per-view of Full Gear, which is a huge card, and I'm going to run through it really fast because if you like it, you like it, and if you don't, you don't. You probably already watched it. The show opened up with a cage match. Luchasaurus versus Jungle Boy, with, of course, Jungle Boy going over, hitting a big splash or a big elbow off of the top of the cage to Luchasaurus through a table. You have the second match of the night. The order of these matches blew me away with what they were doing. Death Triangle versus the Elite for the six-man tag, or the three-man tag, in our second match, in which Rey Fenix finally comes over to the dark side using the ringside bell hammer on Kenny Omega. When Omega tries to hit the one-winged angel, Phoenix hits him with the hammer, and they get the official pin.
Good.
Retaining. I loved it. I loved it.
Good.
You get Nyla Rose versus Jade Cargill for the TNT Women's Championship, which Nyla Rose has been running around with. Jade Cargill officially defeats Nyla Rose, getting her championship back.
I will say this: Jade Cargill is an impressive-looking woman.
I love Jade Cargill. I love her in the ring. She's extremely talented.
Very.
And they need to have her wrestle more. She needs to be on Dark and Dark Elevation every week, defeating people just to make that streak go even higher.
I'd do it. Make her the next Goldberg.
Danielson versus Claudio versus Sammy versus Jericho for the ROH Heavyweight Championship. Very entertaining match. Jericho almost gets the winning pin at one time. Sammy pulls Jericho off. Lots of heat between Sammy and Jericho. The match ends with Jericho hitting, I believe, the code breaker on Claudio, while Claudio is hitting a spin on Sammy. So as he's coming around, Jericho hits it. Jericho gets the pin on Claudio, retaining the ROH Championship.
Nice.
We get Saraya versus Britt Baker, with Saraya making her return to the ring after almost 5 years of an absence, being finally cleared. Of course, Saraya ends up getting the win on this one for her big comeback.
How was the match? How would you rate the match?
She definitely knocked off the ring rust. They definitely had a great back and forth. Britt Baker delivered as she always does in the ring. It wasn't match of the night, but it definitely wasn't drizzling dog shit. So
okay, good.
We have Joe versus Hobbs versus Wardlow for the TNT Championship. And we have a new champion, as Samoa Joe is a two-time champ as the Ring of Honor TV champion, and now the TNT heavyweight champion. Boom, boom, boom,
Joe,
boom, boom. We then get Jay Lethal and JERRETT, Jeff Jarrett, going up against Sting and that POS Darby Allin. Unfortunately, Sting and Darby Allin get the win on that one. We get Toni Storm versus Jamie Hayter for the interim Women's Championship. Let's get this interim out of here. If you're not able to defend the championship, you relinquish it. You're no longer the champ. You have to get in the back of the line or get a rematch when you come back. They should just be the champ. Yep. And new interim women's champion, Jamie Hayter.
Hey, I said it last week. She's been impressing me every week.
I love Jamie Hayter. She's great. We get our tag team match for the Acclaimed versus Swerve and Keith Lee. At one point, Swerve ends up actually slapping Keith Lee. Lee walks away from the ring. Acclaimed retains.
Nice.
So I think we're setting up for Keith Lee versus Swerve. Which I like. And then we get our main event, MJF versus Jon Moxley for the AEW Heavyweight Championship. Into the match. Great match. Awesome match. I love it. Maybe even match of the night.
Okay.
MJF pulls his ring out of his tights and he's getting ready, and Regal comes down and he's looking at him. He's like, "Don't you do it, you son of a bitch. You know you're better than this." Jacob takes the ring. Maxwell takes it, throws it out. Something happens with Moxley. The ref is checking on Moxley. Regal pulls out some brass knucks, slides them to MJF. MJF takes the knucks, hits Mox, throws him in his gear. 1, 2, 3. Woo! New AEW champion. Maxwell Jacob Freeman. MJF, the devil himself. He's better than you, and you know it.
Hey, I honestly hope he goes on a long run, because he's like the best heel in wrestling today, and he was starting to do this face turn, and I was not for it. I want him
not
as a
at
heel.
all.
I want him as a heel.
The press conference afterwards, he looks at everybody and he cuts a promo like no other promo, and then he looks at the press and he goes, "Any questions? Just kidding. Fuck you. Good night."
Nice.
Walks
off. Well, I do believe that does it for this week's wrestling recap. Great wrestling this week. Great pay-per-view by AEW. Steve, where can people find you on your podcast?
Woo! The last podcast you'd want, baby. That's right. We come out once a week to every other week when we decide to get together and record. Me and my buddy Travis. Happy birthday! Because it's his birthday. We talk about movies, pop culture, movies, TVs, video games. What we are just really doing in our personal life. That is what the show has turned into, is what we are doing in our personal lives, purely entertainment wise. But that drops whenever, and that's the last podcast you'd want, available on every major podcast outlet and here on YouTube.
Very
Tip
cool.
the meal, try the staff. Thank you all for coming, and if you didn't, better luck next time.
You can find me on the Mod Squad Network or the Back to the Retro Review, where I review 80s and 90s movies with my buddy Steve as well, and a couple of my family members, my cousins. So check that out. It is available on most major podcast platforms. If you are watching us on YouTube, check us out on podcast. If you're listening to us with your ears, go check us out on YouTube. All that good stuff. All right, I do believe that does it for this episode of the Mod Squad. Layeth the squad down. So for Steve, I am Kevin saying, keep on bamming, bammers.
Have a nice day.